What if I told you that my pet raccoon just became the greatest thief in my neighborhood? And before you call animal control, hear me out, because this story involves a stolen wallet, a master plan, and the most unlikely hero you've ever seen. 3 weeks ago, my life took the weirdest turn possible when someone snatched my wallet right out of my back pocket at the local farmer's market. Inside that wallet wasn't just my credit cards and driver's license. It contained something irreplaceable that belonged to my late grandfather, and I was determined to get it back no matter what it took. But here's where things get interesting. The thief wasn't some random stranger. It was actually my neighbor's teenage son, Marcus, who I'd caught red-handed through my security camera footage. The problem? His mom refused to believe her precious angel could do such a thing, and the police said they needed more concrete evidence than just grainy surveillance video. That's when I met Bandit. Now, I know what you're thinking. Keeping a raccoon as a pet sounds absolutely insane, and you're probably right. But Bandit wasn't exactly a planned adoption. I found him as a tiny kit near my garbage cans, barely old enough to open his eyes, clearly abandoned by his mother. After checking with local wildlife authorities who confirmed he'd never survive in the wild at that age, I made the decision to nurse him back to health. What started as a temporary rescue mission quickly turned into something completely unexpected. Bandit showed intelligence levels that honestly blew my mind. Within days, he was solving puzzle feeders that stumped my friend's border collie. He learned to open doors, manipulate latches, and even figured out how to use basic tools to reach food in high places. But here's the kicker. Bandit had a natural talent for acquiring shiny objects. Every morning, I'd wake up to find my coffee table decorated with bottle caps, coins, jewelry, and various trinkets he'd somehow collected during his nighttime adventures around the house. That's when the light bulb went off. If Marcus wasn't going to return my wallet voluntarily, maybe I could train the neighborhood's newest furry resident to retrieve it for me. The training process started simple. I taught Bandit to associate my old wallet with positive rewards. Every time he brought me the Dico wallet, he'd get his favorite treat, which turned out to be dried mealworms mixed with peanut butter. Sounds disgusting to us, but Bandit went absolutely crazy for this combination. Next came the more complex behaviors. I needed Bandit to understand the difference between taking things that belong to me versus stealing from others. This required establishing clear boundaries and consistent reinforcement. I created scenarios where he could only take specific items marked with my scent while leaving everything else completely alone. The breakthrough moment came when Bandit successfully retrieved my keys from my neighbor's yard after they'd accidentally fallen through a gap in our shared fence. He brought them directly to me without touching anything else in their garden, despite having access to numerous shiny garden decorations that would normally catch his attention. But training a raccoon to be selective about theft is only half the battle. The real challenge was reconnaissance. I needed to know exactly where Marcus kept my stolen wallet and when he'd be away from his room. This is where Bandit's natural nocturnal behavior became incredibly useful. Raccoons are naturally active during nighttime hours, and their climbing abilities are absolutely phenomenal. Bandit could scale the oak tree between our properties and access Marcus's second-floor bedroom window, which the kid constantly left cracked open for air circulation. Over several nights, I sent Bandit on what I called scouting missions. Using a small wireless camera attached to a lightweight harness, I could see exactly what Bandit was seeing as he explored Marcus's room. The footage revealed that my wallet was sitting right on Marcus's desk, almost like he was proud of his theft and wanted to show it off. The night of the operation, I'll admit my heart was pounding like crazy. This wasn't just about getting my wallet back anymore. This had become a test of whether months of training and bonding with Bandit would actually pay off in a real-world scenario. I equipped Bandit with his camera harness and watched through my laptop as he made his way across the tree branches. His tiny paws moved with incredible precision as he squeezed through the gap in Marcus's window and landed silently on the bedroom carpet. The room was dark except for the glow from Marcus's gaming setup, which he'd left running overnight. Bandit moved like a shadow, completely silent as he approached the desk where my wallet sat among scattered homework papers and energy drink cans. Here's where Bandit's intelligence really shined. Instead of just grabbing the wallet and running, he carefully moved other items aside to create a clear path. Then, using his teeth and front paws, he gently picked up my wallet without disturbing anything else on the desk. The return journey was just as impressive. Bandit retraced his exact path, slipped back through the window, and climbed down the tree with my wallet secured in his mouth. Within 15 minutes of entering Marcus's room, he was back in my kitchen, dropping my recovered wallet directly into my outstretched hand. Opening that wallet felt like Christmas morning. Everything was exactly as I'd left it, including my grandfather's vintage military dog tags that had been passed down through 3 generations of my family. Those tags weren't worth much money, but their sentimental value was absolutely priceless. The next morning brought the most satisfying moment of this entire adventure. I watched through my window as Marcus frantically searched his room, clearly panicking about the missing wallet. His mom came upstairs to help look, and I could see them both completely baffled about how it could have simply vanished. Around noon, Marcus appeared at my front door, looking nervous and fidgety. He claimed he'd found my wallet in his backyard and wanted to return it like a good neighbor. I played along perfectly, acting surprised and grateful while internally celebrating the success of Operation Raccoon recovery, but the story doesn't end there. Word somehow spread around the neighborhood about my unusual pet, and soon I was getting requests from other residents who'd lost various items. Mrs. Henderson's wedding ring that had slipped off while gardening. The Johnson family's car keys that had mysteriously disappeared from their kitchen counter. Bandit became like a freelance recovery specialist, using his unique skills to help neighbors retrieve lost belongings. Of course, I made sure every mission was completely ethical, only helping people recover their own property and never taking anything that didn't belong to the rightful owner. The relationship between Bandit and me evolved into something really special during these adventures. Raccoons are incredibly social animals when properly socialized, and Bandit seemed to genuinely enjoy having jobs to complete. He'd get visibly excited when I brought out his harness, knowing it meant we had another mission planned. Training sessions became daily bonding time where we'd practice new skills and reinforce existing behaviors. Bandit learned to respond to hand signals, whistle commands, and even basic verbal instructions. His problem-solving abilities continued to amaze me as he figured out increasingly complex challenges I'd set up around the house. Of course, living with a raccoon isn't all successful heist missions and neighborhood heroics. Bandit's natural curiosity means everything in my house needs to be raccoon-proofed. Cabinet locks, secured trash cans, and child-proof latches have become standard equipment throughout my home. His diet requires careful monitoring since raccoons have specific nutritional needs that differ significantly from typical pets. Regular veterinary care from an exotic animal specialist is absolutely essential, and the costs add up quickly compared to traditional pet ownership. There's also the legal aspect to consider. Raccoon ownership laws vary dramatically depending on your location, and many areas require special permits or prohibit private ownership entirely. I spent considerable time researching local regulations and obtaining proper documentation before committing to long-term care for Bandit, but despite these challenges, sharing my life with Bandit has been incredibly rewarding. He's taught me to see problem-solving from completely different perspectives and shown me that intelligence comes in many forms. His playful nature and genuine affection have brought joy to my daily routine in ways I never expected. The Marcus situation had an interesting epilogue several months later. His mother eventually discovered evidence of her son's various neighborhood thefts when she found a collection of stolen items hidden in his closet. She came to apologize personally, bringing homemade cookies and offering to pay for any trouble her son had caused. Marcus himself seemed genuinely remorseful when he realized his actions had real consequences for real people. I decided not to reveal Bandit's role in recovering my wallet, figuring the mystery of its disappearance from his room had probably taught him a valuable lesson about respecting other people's property. These days, Bandit and I have settled into a comfortable routine of training, exploration, and occasional recovery missions for neighbors in need. He's become something of a local celebrity, with kids from around the neighborhood asking their parents if they can meet the famous trained raccoon. I've started documenting our adventures and training progress, partly for my own records but also because I think there's value in showing people the incredible intelligence and personality that raccoons possess when given proper care and stimulation. The most important lesson from this entire experience isn't about training raccoons or recovering stolen property. It's about thinking creatively when faced with problems that seem impossible to solve through conventional means. Sometimes the most unexpected solutions come from the most unlikely partnerships. Bandit didn't just help me get my wallet back. He opened my eyes to possibilities I'd never considered and showed me that building trust and communication with another species can lead to incredible cooperation and mutual benefit. So the next time you're facing a challenge that seems insurmountable, remember that sometimes the answer might be waiting in the most unexpected package. In my case, it was a tiny masked bandit who turned out to be the greatest partner I could have asked for in seeking a little creative justice.